From April 2020 to April 2021, over 100,000 people fatally overdosed on drugs. My name is Paige Patterson, and I'll be discussing today the important life-saving drug naloxone, or also known as Narcan. I'll be presenting facts from the CDC, the FDA, and the NOVA series from PBS, but more importantly, Narcan has played a huge part in my own recovery. I wouldn't be standing here before you today if it weren't for naloxone. I'll be discussing three important points today. The first will be how and why opiate use began to rise. The second will be how and why naloxone was developed. And the third will be why naloxone is important today. In 2017, over 191 million opioid prescriptions were written in the United States. However, long before 2017, the motives of doctors began aligning with profits and not what was best for patients. So doctors were making money prescribing addictive opioid prescriptions to patients who really didn't need these prescriptions to see a bigger increase on their paycheck. By 2012, doctors were writing 83 prescriptions per 100 people, and some of these places began to become known as pill mills. So these were basically legal drug dealers for opiate prescriptions. Johnson & Johnson, Purdue, and even CVS Healthcare have been sued over their role in pushing this epidemic that we're now in. You might have heard of a name brand such as OxyContin that has been a huge that's had a huge negative impact on the United States as far as our opioid epidemic. So once we start to crack down on all of these doctors and all the pharmaceutical companies, the big issue was, where do these people go to continue to get this medication that they're now addicted to? And the answer to that is turning to the streets for heroin. And even worse than that is that the heroin has been tainted with also a new drug called fentanyl, which is killing people faster than we could have ever imagined. The U.S. has recorded over 760,000 overdose deaths from 1999 to 2019. That's 10 years. So to put it into context, just between April of 2020 and 2021, over 100,000 people have died from overdoses. So that's 1 year, 100,000 people. And that's coming from 10 years of over 700,000 people. So just 1 year marks a huge significant rise in this epidemic. Naloxone was actually originally developed in 1961 as a way for scientists to combat opiate constipation. It was not originally developed to be a life-saving drug. They soon found out its properties. What it does is bind to the opiate receptors. It does not give any of it's in the same class as morphine, but it does not give any of those same feel-good feelings to the brain like a morphine or heroin does. It actually just binds to the receptors and blocks them from receiving any of the feel-good stuff from the other opiates. So what happened was that scientists found this out. They began using it for opioid reversals in the 70s, and then continued to do so. This was intravenously, so it's usually in a medical professional field that they were using this, but it evolved, and by 2015, the nasal spray was actually invented. So instead of people having to use needles and give injections for this, now it's just like an allergy nasal spray. Like, you can just take it around and have it with you, and you just spray it inside each nostril, and you are actually saving a human being's life. Halfway houses, jails, harm prevention groups, rehabs are all armed with this medication because of how bad the epidemic has become. You can also get the Narcan at different pharmacies. Not everywhere. It's not widely available as much as we want it to be, but there are laws that I will talk about in just a moment that are trying to be pushed through to get us to be widely prepared with this medication. So as the record number of overdoses continue to climb, I also want to point out that I myself was saved by a dose of Narcan. I have also personally given someone a life-saving dose of Narcan that was overdosing in a parking lot of a convenience store not too long ago, because I had it in my glove box ready and available. The Surgeon General in 2018 actually came out with a statement that we needed to be armed and ready for any kind of overdose possibility so that we could have Narcan to save lives. In 2021, lawmakers actually introduced the Emergency Opioid Antagonist Act, which, if passed, would make naloxone available over the counter. It would also push education of naloxone and encourage people to buy it. It would enable laws that would protect people that were using naloxone in situations where there were several users, so they wouldn't go to jail. And it would also require doctors to prescribe naloxone along with prescriptions of opioids. Just quickly, I would like to let you know what as signs of an overdose would be. It would be blue face, blue lips, blue fingernails. There would be no response, verbal response, physical response, and labored breathing, if any breathing at all, would be present. So first you would call 911. Second, you would grab the naloxone that you would hopefully be armed with. You would, if it was an injection, you would put it on the outside of the thigh, just like an EpiPen, and squeeze down the trigger, and that would release the naloxone into their system. Even better would be the naloxone nasal spray. You could do 2 squirts in each nostril, which could possibly reverse an overdose and save a life. The statistics are very grim. They can't be ignored. Life-saving medicine, naloxone, is currently ready and available. Hopefully it will be even more widely available soon. It's backed by research. Experts are encouraging its distribution and its use. The fact of the matter is that we are actually losing enough people to fill a Boeing 757 passenger jet, and this is every single day. So preparation and not judgment, I feel like, is key. It's saved my life, and I believe it will continue to save other people's lives as long as we continue education and arming ourselves and getting ready for more of this epidemic happening. Thank you.